printed. So very basic function app which I have been developed here. So this is going to print this. So this is a HTTP trigger function, and it is completely in Java. So for Java, we have this framework given by Azure, and on top of this, we can enhance the framework with some basic utilities and best practices and security, how we can make the secured authorization. Everything can be done through Azure. So that's completely a different story. But right now we are going to achieve this, how we can, once we have the function apps in a code, now how we can deploy the function app, this complete, how we can create a CI/CD pipeline, releases, and through ARM template, how we can create a resources automatically in Azure, and how it deploys in Azure. So all this will go through now. Yeah. So for doing all this, we have very simple 5 steps here to be done. So one is that we need to create an ARM template required for us to deploy any function app. So yes. So how we can create an ARM template? Normally, there are different ways to create an ARM template. So one is that you can manually create your ARM template by taking some template from the Azure, a very basic template, and on top of that, you can enhance it and add it more, and then you can create your own ARM template. Or else, we can reuse whatever existing ARM template and then enhance according to our requirement and use it. So these are two different ways we can create the ARM template. So I'm going with the second, because creating a manually, it is a hectic process where if we miss something, no kind of a if we miss some enhancements, or if we miss something addition to that ARM template, so it is going to be provided with errors. So that going to be a very hectic process to fix it and do the other things. So right now, let's use the existing ARM template. So how we can use the existing ARM template, that I'll cover that. Okay, then once we have the ARM template and parameterization. So these are the two important things required for ARM template to be created, because all the params, right? So we are going to create a resources in Azure automatically with this ARM template. So to create a resource, we require some naming conventions to be followed according to the Azure standards and even organization standards. So that is the best practices we have to follow, right? So for that, we have to parameterize that values that comes from Azure DevOps job, and then and then getting into the ARM template, and then templates create the Azure resources. This is how the architecture of the complete picture works. So we can declare the variables globally in DevOps that will be taken care by ARM template, that be taken, that parameterization and variables declaration will be pulled over from the Azure DevOps and get into the ARM template. Now ARM template will be used in the CD releases, and then it creates the resources required in Azure. So this is the process. Okay, now how we can declare that variables, how we can reuse that ARM template for any of the deployments. Like right now, I'm trying to show you in Java. So tomorrow we will be working in C# or Python, right? So any of the code, the ARM template going to be similar, but here and there, the runtime, Walker runtime environment might be changing. So that's all. How we can reuse that ARM template in any of matter. And yes, so there are different ARM templates. Like for example, we have a web app deployments. This is serverless function app deployment, chatbot deployment. So there's so many deployments can happen because we are in a development. So we might develop and deploy those kind of complete projects into the Azure. So for deploying all this builds, there are different kinds of ARM templates. So for whatever I'm trying to show right now, it's same applicable for any of the application. It can be a web app application, it can be serverless, it can be a chatbot, anything. So we can do that same process to any of the application, which is I'm going to show right now. Okay, so let's parameterize it, how we can parameterize globally, how we can use that to ARM template from the DevOps. So all that I'm going to show you right now for creating the resources and then deploying automatically, right? Okay, third thing, once we have the code ready, the framework ready, the project ready, it has to be the Git. So Anyway, everyone will be following the best practices of the code pushing and merging and then all that. So once we have the code merge happen to the development branch or a master branch, so normally what happens is how the organization follows is the development branch will be connected to the pre-prod or development releases, and master branch will be connected for prod releases. That's how the organization rules follows, like development, pre-prod, and then the pipelines will be created. So once the development branch is merged with the code review and it is merged to development branch, all the team's code, then now the CI/CD pipeline starts for the development. And then once we have the development ready with unit testing done completely without no issues, and then it has been deployed successfully, the build successfully, then pre-prod is automatically starts with approval of minimum approval, and then it goes to the prod. That's how it goes. The process is followed. Now, once we have the Git, we need to connect the Git to the Azure DevOps, and we need to have the CI/CD pipelines to be created. So that also I'm going to cover. And how to create a CI pipeline. So this is a continuous integration pipeline where we need to create a pipeline for this, and how we can. There are two types of creating the pipelines in Azure DevOps. One is with the classic editor and other with the YAML file. I'm going to show with the YAML file because it's very important rather than a classic editor. See, classic editor can be cannot be reused, or it can be deleted by some other people easily, and we cannot revert it back. But YAML file is something which is in a code. It will be committed to your Git repo, Git project. So it have the complete versions, like what been changed, what we have enhanced for each and every control, right? Version control. So that's the reason I'm going with the YAML file. So how we can, even once we have the classic editor created and then all the tasks, it can be converted into YAML file and then use it for your directly pushing that, creating the CI pipeline. So that is also possible, but let me show you with a ready-made YAML file. So in the YAML file, we'll be having a build. So building our Maven project, testing the unit test cases if we have, and then creating the artifacts and copying the artifacts and publishing the artifacts. So once we have the artifacts ready in the build, so now these artifacts are going to connect it to the CD release. So I'm going to show how to create a CD release. So that artifacts, whatever we have published in the CI pipeline, that will going to be connected to the CD release. And once we have the build, the CD release gets started, triggered. So in this, we have three steps. So one is that connecting the build. Second is the development. So third is the pre-prod job. So we have three jobs here. So one is with the pipeline, right? The pipeline which we have published the artifacts. So the build is connected to the now CD. That is one. The second one is the stage of development stage, where we have some task under that. So one is that we are going to validate, like we have created the ARM template in the first step. Now we need to validate. Okay, we have created the ARM template. We are also not sure whether the ARM template we created is proper, or it has some issues or some errors, because we have to follow some standards when we create this ARM template. To make sure our ARM template is perfect, we are going to create one task and check the validation whether whatever the ARM template we created, it's correct or not. Once this job is done, that means ARM template is validated and it's perfect. Now we have a second task to create a resources in Azure by using this ARM template. This is the main job, because we are creating the resources automatically, whatever required resources, like the hosting plan, the resource group, the function app name, the storage account, enabling the app insights, right? Enabling the app insights, everything, whatever required dual slot deployments. So this all can be done through ARM template at one shot. We don't require to do that from Azure manually. So this is all we are going to do from automatically from this Azure DevOps. And it completely parameterized. So whatever the name you want, you can give it in the DevOps. It automatically creates with that names. So, and that too, the naming convention should be followed with Azure standards and to the organization standards. Okay, then we create a service web plan for deployment so that once the resources are created, our code will be deployed to this service, the serverless function app service. And once we deploy it, we are going to start the deployed function app. So that means we are done with the development phase. That means we have the complete code running in the development phase, development staging. Now we'll be moving to the pre-prod stage. Why we require this pre-prod stage? We can stop it here, but this is going to be an extra best practices benefit which we're required to do. Because in the pre-prod stage, we are going to create a 2 slots here with the ARM template. So that means, for example, tomorrow we have a version 1 and we have 1.1 in the ready to be deployed. Okay, now we have deployed 1.1 and version 1 will be under the development because it moved. So if there is some issue or an error in the no, version 1.1, we can easily swap the slot with the version 1 so that users will not be affected. For that reason, we require this swapping the slot so that if some issue happens in the code or in the deployment, we can easily revert back to the existing already version 1 slot so that we don't require to worry much about the affecting the users. So that's how we required this pre-prod job as well for me, starting and swapping and stopping the other slot. So this also we are going to do it automatically. So this is completely happens in the CI/CD. Okay. So now let's get started. How to do that? Okay. So before that, first step is to create ARM template. That's what I told. So how we can create an ARM template from scratch? For example, we don't have any ARM template, existing ARM template to be used. Now we need to create our own ARM template for deployments. So to create that, first let us go and create some very basic function app manually. So it will not take much time. We just need to set the complete and we don't require to create. We just require the ARM template. That's all. So manually we'll do it. So we'll create a one function app here. So once we have the function app started, we have to put the names and then next, and before we create it, we have the ARM template ready. So now we can use that ARM template for our deployments. Right. So this is how the ARM template, when we create a function app, this is the first step to be created because we need to select the subscription. Anyway, as it is a free tail, we are going to select the free trial. I'm going to select the free trial. But when we are working in an organization where they have the complete enterprise version of Azure, right? Then we have the different subscriptions like development subscription, pre-prod subscription, prod subscription. So we will be having different kinds of subscription. Based on subscription, we have to create our parameterize our ARM template because we cannot create a different ARM template for each and every environment. That cannot be happen. That's again hectic process. So that is where the parameterization comes. We have to parameterize the subscription ID in the Azure DevOps, and it automatically deploys that resources and create the resources automatically to the respective subscription. Right now, I just have the free trial, so I'm going to select this. And a resource group, which is I already created yesterday with the Stalwart Learning resource group. So I'm using the existing resource group. So actually, why we required this to be, I mean, all this, right? Why we need to do with the ARM template? We can normally manually create all this. We can have the question because if everyone, I mean, the complete team have the access and they can easily able to create these kind of resources, right? There is no, I mean, we cannot have the control. There will be many resources will be created and there will be cost cutting, and there will be a lot of cost happens to the organization because of creating a more resources unnecessarily, and there is a maintenance happens that which resources has been created by whom and why it is created by what. I mean, something goes, some other resources has been deleted, then no, it will be affected to the complete deployments or the complete resources. So that's where we have to follow this deployments through ARM template, because none of the resources will have the admin privileges to do all this. So they cannot even create a new resources, because that's how the organization policies comes. Only to the product owner or a company owner, he might be having the admin privileges, not by everyone. And all the team will be having some contributor access to the Azure, so that they can just no they cannot even create any resource, delete or modify. They can just view the resources, what is happening. That is, they can just monitor the resources. That's all they can do with the contributor access. So once we have the contributor access, as we cannot create the resources, we cannot modify the resources, or we cannot delete. So the best way to do it is with the ARM template. So that's the best practices to be followed, and this is very secure. Okay, so once we have the resource group, I'm just selecting the existing Stalwart Learning resource group here. And now we just give the same, I mean, function app name, anything we can give Stalwart function app name, anything, whatever required for us, with the best practices to be followed. So as it is the Stalwart Learning demo, I'm just trying to give Stalwart Learning and the Stalwart Learning Services, where I'm going to deploy this in a region of Central US. So I'll give CS. CS stands for Central US, so that we'll be aware that where this function app has been, which region this function app belongs to, right? So we can have this the standards, and this is related to the development development staging. So that's how development environment. So that's how the naming conventions can be done. For example, if you guys are using web app, right? Right now I'm saying it's a function app. So even you can make it like FA function app and then -d, so that it's very clear that it's a function app. For example, when we are doing a web app, so it is going to be web app. So we can give UI or web app or anything which is required. For chatbot, we can give bot. So this kind of naming conventions can be followed, so that it's very clear that this is like Stalwart Learning and Stalwart Learning Services, which is in the Central US, and this is a function app, and this is a development environment. For production, it will be P. For any other like pre-prod and no P, it will going to be PP, pre-prod. So that's where we can have the naming conventions to be created, so that because we will be doing a lot of deployments with different environments, right? Developments, pre-prod, test and QA builds, and then production builds. So in the event production, we will be having again pre-productions. So that kind of lot of deployments we will be doing. So to make sure we follow this naming convention, so that we'll come to know that, okay, this is related to the development, this is related to the production, and this is to the pre-prod, and where it is exactly. So that's how we need to follow some kind of naming conventions. And then I'm going to select Java, because my code completely based on Java. So it is in Central US. So let's click on next, and then it is going to be consumption will be serverless, because it's a free trial, right? But when we have some kind of enterprise version, they give this premium, premium support, so that we can select, or app service plan. In these two, anything we can select. But right now it's just a consumption of serverless. So basic plan. And now here, this is what the App Insights I was talking about. Right now, if you see, it is trying to give me the App Insights name, recommended name as per my naming. So, so I don't want to go with this naming, but right now as it is, I'm just want to use it for a ARM template. I just go next. And then, yeah. So this is, I think this is for best practices to be followed, like what tags you can add, like who is the owner, who created this, which team is created this, and why this is created. All kinds of some basic tags can be created, so that someone views this function as they can easily understand by seeing these tags. And then we'll get into the review and review plus create. So now my subscription ID is this. right? You can see whatever I have selected, the free trial subscription ID is this, and Stalwart is learning resource group, and my function app name is this, and I'm using Java 8.0, and whatever I've selected. So it is going to be the resource group is this name they have created, and operating system will be Windows, Central US, Dynamic. So SQ is the which I have selected the consumption plan. Under that will be the layer of Dynamic. So app insights is enabled, and this app insights name is this, and region again this. So that's how it is been showing me. Now let's see. I mean, I'm not going to create this resources because we don't want to do it manually. That's how the base complete demo is based on, right? So now to get the ARM template, we need to click on it, download a template, right, for the function app. Now it gets into the template. You can see here. So this is the template which I was talking about. This is ARM template. So Azure Resource Manager template. So which is meaning of ARM. So now we have the template here. We have the parameters. So we need to have these two completely. We require these two files, and this template is in the JSON format. So we have to use this in the JSON format only. So now this is the main template, and this is the parameterization template, which I was talking. Now let's walk through this template, what we have exactly in this template. So we are going to create resources, 4 resources we are going to create manually, automatically through this ARM template. One is this websites, Microsoft websites, because when we create a function app, it creates a website for us. So as I said, the function app name .azurewebsites.com, like that. It will create an endpoint with the website's name. So we require this resource to be created. And second thing, we are going to use some hosting plan. As I said, right, we have some hosting plan, the serverless consumption of serverless. So that's a very basic hosting plan which I took. It's a for a free set, free trial. But if it is a premium, we have a premium and then app service plan for the enterprise Azures. So then this completely changes, but it not change the ARM template standard, but it'll only change the names. That's all. So what is the SQ code? This will be changed, but ARM template still remains same. That thing change will happen with the ARM template based on the plan. Now, so now it is going to create a insights, app insights for us. That is acts as a component to our function app. So it is extra component we are going to add to enabling the app insights. So I hope everyone know that what exactly the app insights is like. Whatever we are running, whatever the user's triggers or whatever the test happening to this function app, all the logs get collected to this app insights. So the log collection and monitoring, everything will be happening in the app insights. So the app insights will be storing all our data, logs, everything in the storage account. So that's a very big process. Like from there, how it can be followed. But this is not the basic idea of App Insight. So we are going to see the availability of our function app, how much it is available. We will see the how latency is working. What if there is any errors? We can debug everything through this App Insights. Okay, this is very much useful for debugging and monitoring. Okay, yeah. Yes, the last resource is on the deployment. So we are going to deploy this ARM template, which is required for a mode as incremental. So when you keep as incremental, that means it is going to deploy the required resources in the Azure. So this is the 4th one. So all this will be created and we require to create automatically through Azure DevOps, the 4 steps. But this is very basic steps, which I kept it here. But let me walk through the template which I created. I mean, enhance this template required, right? So here you can see the same thing, right? The first resource is creating the websites. This is the first resource, which I already explained. So I'm not going to talk about this. The second thing on the hosting plan name, which I already explained. So like which plan you're going to host this resource. So third is about the app insights. So which is we're going to create a resource. Right. So this is the fourth one, the storage account, right? We need to create our own storage account. That is also required to us to be handled in our through our DevOps. Normally, if you see the framework which I mean the template which I created, there is no resource of storage to be created. That means the function app automatically creates a storage account for us. So with their own namings and with their own namings and with some region they'll create. But that also should be under our control. So for that reason, I'm going to create one more resource so that even the storage account will be created with this ARM template. Okay. And the last one, which I was talking about the slots, right? I explained why we require this slot to swap the slots if some issue happens in the latest release, and so that we can swap it to the old version, so that no one users will be affected. So that is how we require this slot. So for that slot deployment, to make the slot also automatically deploy, we require this. So this is also one kind of resource I am going to create in Azure automatically. So we have around 5. So completely 5 resources I am going to create in Azure automatically by using this parameterization. Now let's talk about the parameterization. So normally what you need to be parameterized, like function app, right? You might need to, because we have to reuse this ARM template by any of the team in our team, right? So for that, we have to make sure that this ARM template can be reusable. So for that, we require this parameterization. So function app name is very much we required to parameterize subscription ID, app insights name, which location you want to deploy this function app. Right now, if we see, I selected the central US, right? Maybe your project can be in West US or South US, North US, any other locations, right? So even that can be parameterized so that this ARM template can be reused. Location as well. The hosting plan name, the server form resource group, which form you want to deploy this. So yeah, few of them can be parameter like storage name, function app worker runtime, right? This is a worker runtime like which I was talking about, whether it is Java or C# or a Python. So based on that, you can even parameterize tomorrow. This ARM template can be even useful for C# code deployments as well, right? Which is developed in C#, and which is a Java version. So that also parameterized if the people are using 1.7 or 1.8 or 11. So whichever version they are using, they can parameterize it. And the SKU code, which I was talking about, the consumption plan. So I'm using the free trial consumption plan. So it's a serverless free trial consumption plan. So it will change accordingly. Okay. Yeah, all this parameters. I just added one more parameter required for me because which environment I'm going to deploy, that is also required for me, application environment. So I just added this extra parameter for my set, which is environment, and who is the owner for this. So this has some best practices to be followed, because when we are deploying, we need to know which environment it is, and who is the owner for this, right? Product owner for this, so that we'll have some, because in one organization there will be multiple product owners for the same product again. So we make sure that no, we can showcase that this is a product owner of this deployments, so that when there is some issue happen, they can revert directly to that owner. Right. For that required matter, we require this parameter to be created. It's up to you to be created on, but some of the best practice to be followed. Right. So now I have created the parameters here. Now from the parameter sheet, there is a one more parameter template. This is also in a JSON format. Now all my parameters sitting globally in DevOps. In Azure DevOps, I'm trying to declare all the values required for this parameterization. Those values will be taken care by parameter JSON. These parameters will be set here and from the DevOps and set here. Now this will be pushed to this template. So now from the DevOps, all the values will be captured to the parameters JSON file. From here, it will be taken care by the template JSON. Now, once we have the values, it have the complete values listed in the template, and it creates the resources in Azure. So this is the steps that happens when we run the CI/CD when to create automatically resources in Azure. Okay, now we have the ARM template created with few resources to be created automatically, and we have the parameterization template as well that taken care in the Azure DevOps. That's all. So these are the very important. Now, to reuse this template, we need to have this template even in our repo, right? The project which we build, right? I have shown the Java project. So I have kept my deploy arm in this folder so that anytime I use this, even I can update, we can have the versions control here directly in the deploy arm, so that I'm trying to keep my ARM templates directly in the project so that we can view that ARM templates even in the Git, so that in my project, we have the deploy ARM folder. In that, I have my ARM templates sitting so that we don't require to know. We can have the version control basically so that we don't miss what we have updated in last version, so that if we want to revert back, we can easily revert back. That's how we require to be created in the Git. So once we have that no project ready, now we have the complete project in Git. We have the deploy ARM template created, template is created, and parameterization template is created. All set. We have the branch ready. Now let's see the next step. What we have to do. So now we covered the ARM template creation. Now let me show this parameterization how we can do it. Right now I have shown how we can create a parameter template JSON, but how we can declare the parameterization globally in Azure DevOps, I'll take it later. Right now I'll park this aside. Now, I mean, we have the code Git in the Git, so I'm not going to talk about that much. Now let's get started with the creating the CI pipeline. How we can create a CI pipeline so that we can have our build and artifacts are published. That artifacts can be used in the CD releases. Let's get see how we can create our CI/CD pipeline. So now here I have the Azure DevOps. So I just created an organization with my name. So normally when we have the Azure DevOps with organization, we'll be having their organization name, and then uh, the project will be created under that. So once I open my project, yeah. So I have the project here created already. So now here we have some icon called pipelines. There is a one tab, pipelines. Under that, you can see the pipelines, environments, releases. There are a lot we can do with this. There are, I mean, very huge to be learned on this DevOps. But right now, I'm going to talk about pipelines and releases and library. These three things we are going to cover because we are going to create a pipeline that builds our project and publish the artifact. That pipeline will be connected to the release. Now, once the build is ready, we are going to release that with some stages, like with the development stage and pre-prod stage, where it's going to create automatically the resources, and then it deploys and swapping the slots. All that will happen in the release. So once we have the release, we have the build ready. I mean, we have deployed and it is on live. The application is on live once this release happened. What about the library? So libraries, that's where we are going to declare our variables. We are going to parameterize or declaring the variables in this library. So we are going to store all the variables required for parameterization in this library. And it is also very secure. So nothing will be stored in the code. Everything will be in the Azure DevOps. So now let's go to the pipeline. So I already created one pipeline here. So okay. So yeah, I have authorized my Git to this Azure DevOps. Now it's authorized. Let me see. Let me show you in back one step back, and let me show you how to create a pipeline. We can just create on this new pipeline. Click on this new pipeline. Yes. Now, first step, it will ask to how where to which code repository you want to connect. So where many of the people will be using different code repositories like Bitbucket, GitHub, Enterprise, GitHub, other Gits. So any other Azure related Git we have, anything required, no related, we can connect. So we are going to use this GitHub for right now because I'm using the GitHub. Right. So once it is authorized, you will see all my repos here in this. Um, so once it is authorized, whatever repos has been in my Git, it will be shown here. So we can select the respective repo which is going to be built in this project. So as it is a Maven, so we can start creating with using the classic editor, or you can create your own YAML file and then click on using the existing YAML file. So I have the YAML file here, which is already in my repo. So I'm going to click on just click select that and continue. That's all. So that's my job is ready now. Okay, as my YAML file is already there, it brought and I just created this job and we can save this. So the job will be created. So I already have the job. So we'll just go to the step which I already have the job and talk there. Okay. So this is a core, repository which I took, and this is a YAML file which is already there in the repository. So you can see that this is a YAML file. So that YAML file, I'm going to use it here for my building the project. So this YAML file have some steps like like it is going to trigger the main job. Okay. So and for any PR, right? For any pull request, it has to run or not. So you can control everything through this YAML file, right? There are some steps, right? For example, there are so many pull requests happen. For example, we have people of 10 team and everyone are sending a pull request by end of the day. Just we haven't merged, just send the pull request. What happens is this because of we haven't created this PR is equal to none. If we don't have this condition, what happens is for every pull request, our cycle is going to run. This pipeline is going to run. So to make sure it should not run, we need to have this condition PR equal to none so that any pull request, it doesn't run. Only to the merge request, it only runs our pipelines. Okay. And where it has to run, it is going to be running in our Windows of machine. So which is Azure hosted machine. So automatically it runs in that parallelly. Now, the main steps comes here. First step is we are building the Maven using the POM XML. So we are going to build this Maven so that it builds a complete project without any errors. So if there is any compilation errors or any dependency issues, like it throws automatically in this step and we can fix that. But to make sure there is no compilation errors and dependency errors, so we're going to build a project. And here I'm trying to just skip the steps. Sorry, test. My unit test will be skipped here. But if you want to even run your unit test, you need to remove this command so that it runs all your unit test cases as well. So this is my goal, Maven goal. And all remaining all by default, it will be there because which version you're using, Java version, and whether it's a x64 or 30, 86-bit or whatever, you can keep accordingly. And SonarQube, most of them people might be knowing about this because if you make it enable, so that it gives the code warnings, right? The best code warnings like naming conventions, or if you have not followed any proper naming conventions or organization, or everything will be taken care by this SonarQube analysis, which is an inbuilt feature of this Azure DevOps. Now, the second step which we are going to take create is, right? So we are going to build, test, and now we are going to create the artifacts. Once we have the build ready, the project build ready, we are going to create that artifact. The artifact is nothing but the zip kind of folder we are going to create, right? So that is nothing but the artifact. So in that zip, we will be having the code completely. That code will be in the zip format. Now, when we deploy, right, when we build the project, normally in the Maven, it builds and creates it in the target folder, and our source code will be sitting in the target folder right now. Now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to create artifacts with this, and then copy that artifacts to the deploy arm folder. So I'm going to create one folder called deploy arm. Sorry, this is also I'm going to copy the deploy arm folder also, because which is required for me to the next step. So one step is copying the complete code in the target. Second, I'm copying the deploy arm folder also, the templates which we created, the arm templates. And then I'm just trying to copy them to the respective folder, respective artifact staging directory. So I just created the artifact staging directory target folder. So I'm going to copy them everything to that folder. Okay. Now, once we have copy, we are going to publish that artifacts to the drop folder. So there will be a drop folder created inside this CI pipeline. It will automatically create whatever the name you give here, it will be created. So I just created drop. If you can create like different name, it will create a different name. So this name is to create our publishing the artifacts folder. So once we create this folder, whatever the artifacts created and copied, and that copied will be to this staging directory, because I kept the staging directory display name as a drop, right? So that's the reason path to publish will be this, and artifact name is drop, the folder name, and this will be published. So these are the basic steps of CI pipeline. This varies to the development environment. For example, as it is Java and Maven based, we have this kind of steps. But for C# and .NET, it is going to be completely different. So this is not be, we cannot use this YAML file for a C# project. So this is for only the Java project. Okay, so once we have the YAML file ready, so that means we are good with the CI pipeline. So continuous integration pipeline is ready. So which is going to create a build for us. Now, let me come back now a step and get into the library, right? Before we get into the CD releases, we need to talk about the library, because we have to parameterize, right? So let me go back and show this parameterization template, where we require few of the parameterization should be coming. The naming, the variables should be coming from the DevOps, right? So from the job, what all are they? So one is that function app. Second is this. Third, subscription ID, app insights name. So there are a few, like almost like six of the 6 to 7 variables has to come from the Azure DevOps. These are parameterized, because somewhere these values has to come. Where normal they come, right? So this is where so we have to go to the library and click on this variable group. So you can create with your own naming conventions, so that everyone can use that naming conventions or use that library for their pipelines. So I already created that. So if you go to this variable group, I created 2 groups. One is with the common, right? This is commonly used and all over anywhere, like whichever pipeline, maybe they can use this uh, common functions. Maybe here and there they need to change the namings, right? So if we go here, I created the variable group. In that group, I'm adding the variables here. So these are my variables which I showed in the parameter, like function, worker runtime, hosting plan name, Java version, right? Server form, resource group, SQU, subscription ID. There are 6 I kept, but how many we need actually? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Yeah, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so we need 11, but I created only 6. Where are the remaining, right? Remaining 5 is missing. So why I missed 5? Because I want to show 2 ways of variable declaration, because one way is this. You can declare globally. This is a global way declaration where many of your many of the other teams where they created these pipelines can be reused. So that's how this is global declaration. Few of them you can declare inside your CD releases. That I'll show you. Remaining 5 missing, right? That where it is being declared, I'll show that later. But right now, this is a global declaration of variables. So these are declared globally, and this can be reused in your complete organization. They can link your variables to their pipelines, to their releases, so that they can reuse this library automatically. Okay, that's why we it's globally declared. Now we have the common variable group. I have shown one more also, development. So this is something, who is the owner? This is a development owner. So I just kept as a owner as a development. So 6 there and 7, one more variable declared here. What is the difference of both, right? One is I kept in common, the other is kept in development. Why we need to do that? Okay, I'll tell you the difference. Okay, so there are two, I mean, some difference between these two, common and then development. So I'll tell you why I did that. Now let's get into the releases. We have the CI pipeline ready. So in the pipeline, what we have done, we have built the project, we have tested the unit testing, we copied the artifacts, we publishes the artifacts, right? All the build is ready now. We have completely done the pipeline. Now we need to create the CD now. So we need to create a release because we already have the artifact. With that artifact built, now we need to create a release. So for that, you can just get into the release and click on create release so that it will create a new release for you. First, let me start creating a new release. Oh, okay, not here. Get here and click on new and then new release pipeline, so that it will get into the new creating a new release pipeline. So I'll show you the basic, like how the template of creating a releasing will happen. Right. So let me talk about something here because it's very important. The artifacts which I talked about in the pipeline, we are going to link that artifact here by just click on add. So click on build. So it will show you my project. Sudhakar MP is my project, and then whichever the artifact is being created, we can link that, and then so it'll create that build. So you can just click on add. So the pipeline artifact is being built here. And there is one thunder icon here. What is exactly? This is something, you can enable this so that whenever the pipeline happens, the build is created, right? The build artifact is created, automatically the release also triggers. So they both are connected. The release is connected to this pipeline so that anytime the pipeline runs and it creates the artifacts, and automatically the release also runs. For example, the pipeline is failed and it didn't created any artifact, the release will not run. So that is why we need to enable it. Okay, this step is done. Now there are two stages. I mean, I spoke about, right? One is like development stage and pre-prod stage. So these are also can be linked here because now artifact is connected to the stage, and we can give like a development name here, and we can start. So this is my development state, and here we have jobs task to be created under development stage, and we have one more called pre-prod. So we can even click on this so that it will create one more stage linked from the development to the other, right? So let me create on this and create pre-prod. So now you can see, right? So artifacts are created. The artifacts are linked to the development stage. Now the development stage is connected to the pre-prod. In this, anything fails, the other will not run. So that's how the connection is happened. For example, you don't want to run this, right? I don't want to run this. Maybe in future I might run. So you can just remove the link, right? You can unlink this from here after release or manually or after stage. So anything, right? You can keep it. So based on that, the link will happen. So once right after the release, you want to run both parallelly, it will run. Or because why we need this, right? Because for example, you have the build and both pre-prod, QA and development environments are linked to the same branch. At that time, what happens is this pipelines will be created in a hierarchy way so that once this release created, automatically for deployment for development environment will be started, deployment for pre-prod environment will be started, deployment for any other environment, QA environment also will be started. If I create new one, again new environment. So all the deployments will be happen properly, parallelly. So that way also you can do that. Manually, if you want to do something differently, you can create so that it will not be linked. You need to do that manually. So all this we have here. After stage, I'm going to click because I want to run this sequentially, because right after this should run, this after this should run. And pre-prod, we can create task. So this is how you can create your releases. Uh, Let me go back and show you what I already have releases here. So click on edit. Same thing I showed you, right? So I have the stages here, which is connected to the pipeline. And I have two stages, development and pre-prod. And the development, I have one job with 4 tasks. So what is that? And when I click on that, we have a task here. I have 4 tasks. This is one of the job, agent job. It will be running on premises agent. So this is agent job, and we have no 4 tasks created, which is like ARM template. This is like Azure ARM template validations. So how you can create all these tasks? You can click on this and then click on like Azure template deployment. Once you click add, so the task will be added here. So can remove this. So that's how you can add your all your tasks from searching here. Just clicking on plus button and search, you will have all your tasks enabled, and then you can add it here. Now, if I have to talk about, I already spoke about, right? First step will be the validating my ARM template. Second step will be creating the resources. Third will be deployment. Fourth will be the starting the function app. So in the same way, I'm going to this is just a name of my name that's going to display here. And which resource group? This is going to be a resource group, and my subscription ID of free trial. And action will be create or update resource group. So you just need to select this option. If you want to delete, you can delete from here. So I'm going to create. So that I need to select. And the resource group which I showed in Azure, right? The Stalwart Learning, I created one resource group when I creating this. I selected Stalwart Learning. So I'm going to use that resource group only. And if it is in the location central US, you can select any of your location from this drop down. And yes, we need to talk these things perfectly, because this is how the main job may happen. So in this, right, I have this default working directory and the pipeline, right? The pipeline name where I created that pipeline artifacts, that path. And this is a drop folder which I created for artifacts to be published. Under the drop, I have the deploy ARM template. folder. Under that, there is a template Java, which I need to refer for my template. And for template parameters, the same path, but parameter JSON template I need to refer. So now I'm referring to the artifacts created by pipeline. Under that, this is my deploy arm folder, and under that, this. Now, this is how you need to declare your variables, overriding the template parameters, right? We have this template parameters. Now I need to override this, right? So I need to get that variables somewhere. So that's where the variables are coming from. And I spoke in the library. I have declared 7 variables in the library, and a few of them I directly declared here. If you see here, so even you can do like this, or you can declare globally, so that you can use multiple ways. For example, the subscription ID is coming from the library, and the app insights name I declared here directly. So that's how we can create the template with the parameterization. So all my 11 parameters are sitting here. Few of them coming from the library, few of them coming from the directly kept here. So, and this deployment mode is validation only. So first step is I'm validating the ARM template is correct or not. So second step, I'm going to deploy. So that's it. So first step is this, second step is this. For these two steps, nothing difference. Only the changes deployment mode is here. It is incremental. Incremental is something, it creates a resource. Here it is validation only. So it only validates the ARM template, whether the ARM template which we created is proper or not. Second is the incremental. Incremental is something which it deploys, it creates a resource, as I've shown in the template also. Like here you can see incremental. So it creates a resource. The third step is deployment. Once we have the resources, we are going to deploy our source complete code with the zip format into the service. So we are going to, before that, we are going to start this service, so that whatever we created the resources here, we are going to start that. So once we start that, so this is a name I kept, right? So this is going to start. And once we start that, it is going to deploy. So from where the code is coming from? So this is from the zip of the pipeline artifacts. So where is that? Let me go quickly to the artifacts. I can show you where artifacts has been published and where it will be there. So once you run, right, you will see this one published here. So when you click on that in the pipeline, it will take you to the artifact published. So it is created for me a drop folder. Under that, you can see all my code is sitting here, like the deploy arm which I copied, right? All that name. This is my function app, printing the name. So this is one of the function app which I HTTP trigger function app which I created. So all that they're sitting under the drop folder now. Now that I'm going to use this as a zip folder. From here as a zip, it will deploy into the function app. So these are the very 4 steps to be done. Now let's get into the next second stage, pre-prod. So this is the second stage where I said 3 steps, right? We are going to start the slot, swap the slot, and stop the other slot. Same way, like I'm going to start the function app slot, which is deployed newly, and I'm going to swap it with the old function app before version function app here, because swap with production, you can see. Now the production will become into the old version, and the main will become as a production. So it is like a swapping the slot. And third is I'm going to stop that slot, because I don't require running multiple slots. I don't require running the multiple version. It will create a impact. So I'm going to stop the old version, the development version slot, so that I only have the production slot running. So this is the stage of other. So now all are connected. My pipeline is created. The pipeline is connected to the CD release. In the release, I created the build that connected the artifacts created in a pipeline. Now I have 2 stages here: development and pre-prod. In the development, I created validating the ARM template, creating the resource, starting, deploying, swapping, slot starting, all this the task has been created now already. We have the CI/CD ready as per our requirement now. Now let's run and see how it works and creates. So before that, right? Before that, I'll go to the function app, and I only have this function app which I just created yesterday before our demo. So I don't have any other function app now. Now let me show you to create a new function app with different name, right? Through this cycle. So for that, what I have to do is I need to change the names here. That's all. So, okay. So app insights name I just kept here, STLS UWAID I kept here, right? So I'll change this name to Stalwart Learning. I'll just make it D everywhere so that it'll add a D. Here also D. My function app name also will be start D. And storage, yeah, STLS D. Here also storage name will be changed accordingly. And all other they're coming from the variables, global variables. So I don't require too much bother because they can reuse existing resource group and planning. So they're like we cannot change anything there. So that can be reused. So I want to just change the naming so that it will create a new resources for me, right? So I'm going to use similar naming conventions here also. So let me quickly change the namings here. Okay, so this is my function app name. Now, I might require somewhere to be even change this name. So I'll put it here and I'll get the stalwart name here. Okay, so I'm going to change this name everywhere. Sorry. So that it will not affect. Okay, this is done. I saved it. Okay, so let me change in another stage also. This is like one-time job. We don't require to do any every time, but as we need to do this, I want to show demos. I'm just trying to change this for time being. Okay, I think we are good. Now we have everything ready. Let's start with first running the pipeline. Okay, I have the pipeline here, right? So which we created, run pipeline. So let's run this. So it is going to come from the main branch and then run it. So my job is started now. We can see the job here. So it is initializing the job and require to create Maven build. So it is. So these are my steps which I showed you in my YAML file, right? So that same steps performing here. It will take some around 3 to 4 minutes to complete this because every time we run this, it builds the Maven project. So that's how, because what happens in Azure is when we are running the job, it runs in every time newly in a hosted machine. So every time it builds the project. You can see once the build is done, it copies the files and it archives it in the target and it publishes in a drop folder now. So it will be the drop folder will be created. I'll show that again. So yeah, it published and it is checked out. So yes, so our job is done. So we have one artifact created here. So once I click on this, you can see this is a drop. It is created just now and all this there. So now let me go to the release because as we already enabled the automatic trigger, you might see that it automatically would have started. So you can see this here. The release has been started with the development because I enabled the automatic trigger. Once the pipeline is completed, automatically the release also should happen. So this is the first stage it started and okay, somehow it got failed here. Maybe some naming, I changed it. Okay, the storage account name is not valid. So this is like how we require to know because, for example, in my ARM template validation, I have given a storage name in this format, which is not valid actually. It should be in between 3 to 24 characters. Maybe it is beyond that. That's the reason it is failed. So I can go and change the name and it will start running. So I'll go to the releases and then edit here. So the storage name was more than 24 characters. So what I'll do is I'll remove D and I'll change the name here like 24 something so that it will not affect. That's all. So let me save this. Now, as we already have the pipeline, everything, so I don't want to rerun it again. So I'll just do a quick release. go here and create a release. So create. With the existing artifact only, it will start creating. What are the latest artifact? So it will create a release. Yeah, started now. Let's see what is happening. So agent is getting ready. So you can see here validation is successful now. ARM template is perfect and it is starting the deployment. Even the deployment, starting deployment, and the name of the deployment is with this name. So most probably the deployment also should be successful without any issues. Deployment in a sense, the creating the resources in our Azure. So what are the naming we have given? With that name, automatically the resources will be created from the Azure DevOps. And this is really secured, and you can store your some of the secrets, because we need to be very much secured when we are trying to do deployment. So when we have some secrets, we can use this Azure no secrets, and then call that in directly in the DevOps, so that uh, secret wallet, and then even integrate that with DevOps, so that you can directly use that secrets from the secret wallet. Yes. So the resources has been created in Azure. Now it is starting my app service, which I created with this name, right? With this name I've created. So it is trying to start that service. So it will take some time to do this. It will take 2-3 minutes, but better than, I mean, creating manually and if we miss some configurations. So this is the best way to make it automatic. Every time you can have, whenever you have the commit happen, every time this pipelines and releases will be started. So I started this app services also started successfully, no issues. Now it is going to deploy my code, the zip, right, which I created, that artifact as a zip folder. It is going to be packaged, deployed using the zip initiated. So from that zip, uh, my function apps will be deployed under this service. So even we can view how much, which task took how much time, like this 10 seconds, 3 seconds, 1 minute, 35 seconds for creating the resource. So you can see 1 minute, 35 seconds only normally. So, but when we do manually, it might even take more time, like maybe half an hour, and no, we can reduce that time with making automatic, and it is secured.
మరి ఎక్కిస్తుంది వచ్చిన పెడతావా
So for deploying the code, it is taking this much time. So once I think it will be ready in another few seconds. Even we can use detail logs going inside this, so that is also fine. So receive an error while okay. So successfully deployed web app to the app service. So it is deployed successfully. Probably it is just trying to create all the required configurations. So I think it will be done. Done. So our development stage is done. Now let's move to the pre-prod stage and see what is happening. So this is in queue. Yes, the agent is started and it is initializing the job. Done. So it is trying to download the artifact again. So it is starting my app service, started the app service. It is swapping to the old version if it is there, because I just created the 2 slots, right? As it is my first version, probably it might not even see that slot, but yes. So swap app services with the development and production. So it's swapped. So it just create another slot for us, that's all. It warm ups that slots. So we are just one task pending, which stops the other slot. Then we are good to go and view our resources in Azure. Yes, swapping is done and it is trying to stop the slot. So our complete CI/CD is successful. So without any issues. So it is deployed to development to the pre-prod. So we have the stages also here, what is happening. So our pipelines are very much healthy. So now let's go and watch our function app, right? So whether it deployed or not. So let's see that function app is there or not. You can see here. So it is created the resources and it deployed. So this is a new one which I created just now from the DevOps. So once we click on that, this is my serverless function app, which I created, right? So yeah, so this is all created automatically without manual efforts here. So it created and even it linked that storage account. App insights will be enabled. App insights also there. It created app insights for me. So you can see here all the app insights has been there. Now let's see whether my function app is running or not, right? So let's go to the function which I created, printing the name, right? The print name I just showed you. So this is my function app and print name. So I can run test this once here directly in the code, directly in the Azure as well. Okay, before that I have to do something. Let me go to the configuration. So I need to change this runtime settings. It is version 3. So So it is trying to save. Once it is saved, we'll run the function trigger function. Yes, it is updated. Now let's just refresh this. Sorry, I'll refresh my function app now. So this is my function app. Let me run. This is a get method which I created. So I'll just add a param because this works with a param. So type and all people here, right? I'll just put this and run. So now it connects. Now you can see my function app is running fine with the 200 and hello all people here. This is what I want to print. So I printed. This is my API. Anyone can use this API to trigger and they get this response. Yeah, I think that's all I want to cover in this demo. I hope all the session helped with all the best practices and with a good architect level from the DevOps. Any questions from anyone? Okay, then yeah, I'm handing to Arvind.
So anyone wants to have, check on anything, any queries?
Hello. I wanted to ask a question like